So
Yes.
I had a lesson on ProLearn for you. I did video and added to the lesson. Some of you went straight forward to answer the questions without watching the video. Some also did not even watch the video, did not also read the notes, because I put video and the notes. Some didn't read the notes, they didn't watch the video, and they went ahead to answer the questions. And they gave me bombs. Do you know bomb? The answers they gave were far beyond your levels. Some of them did not even make sense. So please, what I always do is that even if you see the video, I still attach notes. So you make sure you copy the notes and keep on your device. You copy the notes and keep it. Do you know how to save things in Word documents?
Yes.
So you highlight, if you open the note, you highlight the note, you open a Word document, you paste it there, and you save it. Is that okay?
Yes.
Uh-huh. Okay, so please, what was the last topic we discussed? The last topic we discussed before today. Gracelia.
Yes. I can see automatic
Graciela. Please mute your mics.
Sir, this is Ikram.
Okay, it's better now. If you want to talk, you raise your hand. If I mention your name or give you the go ahead, then you answer the question. So what was the last of yes, Graciela?
We discussed about timber.
Excellent. That is the only thing I want to know. I just want to be sure that you people are reading the notes, and that is good. Who is Inshira? I can see a name by Inshira, two Inshires. Is that my Inshira, the singer? The one that has been singing?
Yes.
Wow, I miss you girls. By the end of the lesson, you have to sing for us. I hope you can do that.
Oh.
What did she say?
That is not here.
Okay, so we started with timber. It's the same thing we are going to continue. Now, what will happen is that today I have not put the lesson on ProLearn. I'll put the lesson and the exercise on ProLearn today, but not right now. After the lesson, after we are done with the Zoom, I'll have another Zoom with your seniors. So after that, then I'll put the lesson and the exercise on ProLearn for you to be able to copy the notes and do the exercise. So do not rush. I didn't do it because I know some of you will attempt answering the question even when they have not understood the lesson. Meanwhile, I don't have the video there. So that's why I schedule Zoom for you. So after about 2 or 3 hours, you see the notes and you see exercise attached to it. You just have to make sure you do it latest by Monday so that we can have another lesson. Is that okay? Okay, so to begin with, I want to share my screen with you. Today we are going to look at properties of timber. Can you all see what I'm sharing?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
We are looking at properties of timber. When we say properties of timber, we are actually going to talk about the characteristics, the things that the various timber wood that we use for making construction, for making tables, furniture, whatever, the characteristics that they have, the things that make them the correct choice of wood for doing whatever we use them to do. Okay?
Okay.
To begin with, I want us to look at what we call the cross-section of timber. The cross-section of timber. When we say the cross-section of timber, you can see pieces of wood. You can see pieces of wood here. You can see this one. They've all been cut or drawn in different ways. Somebody is recording my sound. Please, the person should mute the mic. Teacher, is your mic on?
Yes, sir.
Put it off. Okay, so you can see different designs of wood at the background. When we cut the wood and we are looking at the surface, please, can you see the highlighter? Where I'm painting. This portion. Yes. Okay, so immediately you respond to me, then you mute your mic. Where I'm painting, that is what we call cross-section. Cross-section. Now, when we take the cross-section, if it is a fresh wood, you are going to see different things. So I want us to look at those things we will see when you cut a tree and you look at the cross-section and what each part does for the tree. So that's what we call the cross-section of timber. Cross-section of timber. When we cut or when we look at the cross-section of timber, we have the outer back, the outer layer, which is this portion, this one here. So if the tree is big and you cut it, this first back here, we see, or that portion you can remove, is known as the back. Okay, so let me go back to the previous page. So we call that is the outer back, as you can see here. Is that okay? So the outer part of the timber, just like when you buy mango, the first pericarp that you remove is the same as the back that I'm talking about here. So this portion that I have circled black is known as back. Just like the sound of a dog. Okay, we call it back. I'm giving you the simple terms. Now the inside of the back, when you turn the inside, so the outer part is the back. So this outer part here, this one. This back here, this one is the back. Now the inside of the back here, the inside of the back, which is here, this inner part, where I'm painting, that whole portion, we call it bust. So how many parts have I identified so far?
Piece 3.
No, I have mentioned only 2 so far. You look like I'm not looking at this. The first one is this layer, which I said is called back. Then the inside of it, this portion I have painted red here, I said is known as bust. Okay, as I've circled there. So I have identified two parts. Now, when you move from the bust, okay, this portion you see here, this one, helps the tree to transport food to the various parts of the tree. Which part of the tree prepares food? I know you have done this in science.
Sir, please.
Any idea? I'm sharing screen, so I can't see your pictures. So if you raise your hand, just talk. I can't see your pictures because I'm sharing screen. What you are seeing is what I'm also seeing. I can't see your hands. It's called what? Which part of the tree prepares food for the tree or the plant? It is the leaves. The leaves prepare food. Now, when the leaves prepare food, it is not only the leaf that will eat the food. Every part of the tree needs the food. Okay? So this portion that I have circled here, this particular portion is attached to the back, the bast. Okay, so the main function, so you can see here we have secondary phloem and cork cambium. I just want you to understand that all come together to form what we call the bast. And what it does is that it takes food that is prepared by the leaves and distributes it to all parts of the tree that needs it. Is that okay?
Yes, sir.
So we have
Yes,
identified back, we have identified bast. Let's go to the next one. The portion that you see that looks green, when the plant eats the food that it has prepared, the plant must grow, just like human beings. When we eat, we grow. Don't we grow when we eat? I hope everyone will grow when the person eats well. So when the plant eats, it must grow. Now, how it grows is that when the food is distributed to the various parts of the tree, it will begin to harden like this and form a layer. Okay? It's just like you allow your body, your skin, if dirt settle on your skin for so long and you don't wash it, it will form a layer. So this green portion I have just circled with the red ink. Let me change the color. Let me use black. Okay, so this one, which is green in color, you can see it all around the cross section. You can see it all around. Okay, going all around there. That portion is what we call cambium layer. Cambium layer. So when the food becomes a layer, we call it cambium layer. Now, when you look at the other parts carefully, you see some rings, round rings. You can see some here, you can see some there, you can see some here. You see rings all over the cross section. Those rings you see, we call them growth rings. And what the growth ring do is that they indicate the age of the tree. So the circles you are seeing comes as a result of the layers that are formed. These layers take about 1 year. The cambium layer takes about 1 year to harden, to form that layer. So when it forms the layer, that layer will have a different color, or there'll be something that will show a distinction between that layer and the old one that has formed. So the boundary between the first layer and the next one that forms is what becomes the rings you are seeing across the cross section of the tree. So we call it growth ring. Growth ring. That is here, growth ring. Growth because it is showing how old the tree is. Then also, we have the middle portion of the cross-section, the middle one, the center of the cross-section, the center. Normally when you break a baby plant around your house and you look at the middle, that portion is very, very soft. The middle portion is soft. But as the tree is growing or the plant is growing to become stronger and harder, that soft tissue in the middle will tend to shrink and also become hard. And its name is pith. That is the pith. So far I have identified 5 parts. I have mentioned the back. I have mentioned the bast. We have identified the cambium layer. We have identified the growth ring. We have also identified the pith. Now, from the pith or surrounding the pith, you can see that the color of the cross-section there is darker than coming towards the back. So from the pith here all the way to this portion, you can see that the color is darker than the remaining parts. That dark part of the tree or the cross-section, we call it heartwood. Heartwood. We call it heartwood because it is actually a matured wood. It is the hardest part of the tree. How does it become hard? When the cambium layer is formed, it will begin to become hard and form part of the plant. Instead of it being food, it is now forming part of the plant. Just like you and I, when we eat, the thing will go into our body as food. But after some time, it joins our flesh and become part of our body. So the cambium layer will also form and it will begin to become hard. When it becomes hard, it joins this portion, okay? And as the years go by, these things I have just indicated will then become, so this one, the cambium layer will then form this, then this will then become hard and form what you see in the middle. That middle portion you are seeing there is what we call the heartwood. That is the heartwood here. And the heartwood is formed from this one, this particular one. When this one becomes very hard, then it forms the heartwood. So the question is, how do we call this one? When the cambium layer forms, turn into hard tissue, which is actually the wood, we call it sapwood. We call it sapwood because it is fresh wood. It is not hard. Okay, the sapwood is this one. So the portion from here all the way to the bast or the cambium layer, all the way to the cambium layer is the sapwood. That is the freshly formed wood. So you can see that because it is fresh, the color is not dark. It is lighter than the middle, which is the heartwood. Then we have some lines. We have some lines that look like star or form star across the cross section. This is one of them. I can see one here. I can see one there. I can see another one there. One there. It looks like star or cracks forming on the cross section. Those ones are also known as medullary rays. Please, any questions so far?
No, please.
No, please.
I know some of you are a bit confused because, hey, please mute your mic.
Sir,
Yes, my dear. The one
you said the lines are called the medullary
rays, medullary rays. So you can see this is it, medullary rays. Can you see it? I've underlined it right now.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Yes,
so far I have mentioned back, followed by bast, followed by cambium layer, followed by sapwood. That is the arrangement from bark to bast, cambium layer, sapwood, heartwood, and pith. Then we have the rings called the growth ring and the lines that are forming the stars called medullary rays. Let's move forward and look at the function of each of them. We are taking them one by one. So as I mentioned earlier, the growth ring is a layer of wood formed in the plant during a single period of growth. So they are visible and they indicate how old the tree is. Is that okay? So that is the first one, that's the growth ring. Then we come to the pith, which is the center core. Which is the center core. We have the sapwood. As I said earlier, it is the freshly formed wood from the cambium layer. Then we have the heartwood, which is the sapwood that has become hard. Then we have the medullary rays, which are cell structures formed in the species of the wood. They appear as radals, okay, perpendicular to the growth ring. Then we have the bark, which protects, is the outer layer which protects the tree. Then we have the bast, which is the inner layer. And I mentioned that its function is to distribute food. It carries food across the plant. Then beneath it is the cambium layer, which is freshly formed from the food that is carried around. And it grows or it matures to become what we call the sapwood. This note will be available on the ProLearn for you after the lesson, but not right now because I have another lesson with your seniors. So after that, I'll make sure all the notes is put on the ProLearn for you to copy. Let's move to certain things we have to know about wood. If we take the tree like this or the cross section, you agree with me that if I cut any piece of it, please, I want to close this and open it again. Oh, it's not changing. Okay. You agree with me that if you take a piece of wood, you must understand what exactly make up that piece of wood. So we have what we call wood fiber. And that is simply the cellulose element. So if you take a piece of wood, or when you go to any sawmill and they are cutting the wood, the pieces that come out in the form of dust, okay? Sometimes if you take what we call splinter of wood, okay, you are able to, you can mash it. When you mash the wood, those pieces you see is what we call the fiber. We can process that into different things. So what you see here represents fiber of wood, or wood fibers. We can compress that to form this. When you go to advanced countries, mostly when we cut the wood at the sawmill, the dust that comes out is all the waste that here in Ghana we burn. We call them sawdust. That is the fiber. Most of the tables in your classroom here at the Light Academy are made from this waste material. In advanced countries, what they do is that they mix them with glue. They mix them with glue and then use that to do what we call chipboard. Then we can also talk about grain of wood. When we talk about grain of wood, it is simply how the fiber has been arranged. Every type of timber or wood that you take has a special arrangement of the fiber. and that will give a distinct appearance of the wood. So when the fiber is also arranged, forming the direction of the grain, the direction of the fiber is what we call the grain. Now, the appearance of the grain, how it will appear to you, become what we call the texture. So wood texture describe whether it will make the wood feel, when you touch it, whether it will feel rough or it will feel smooth. Depends on the arrangement of the fiber. So the fiber is simply the pieces that form the wood. And how the pieces have been arranged, the direction is what we call the grains. Now the appearance of the grains is what we call the texture. We have less than 10 minutes to go, so I may rush a bit here. Now let's take the common types of wood that we use here in Ghana for making furniture and construction. Here, I'm only going to mention them. If time permits, we will look at them one after the other. If time permits, we'll look at them one after the other. The common types of wood or timber that we use here in Ghana include what we call wawa. We also have what we call odum and what we call cedar. Then we have mahogany. We also have something we call, or another timber we call emery. Then we have Ophram. So we are going to talk about 6 of them. Let me write the names. We have the first one for Wawa, followed by Odum. Then we have cedar. We have mahogany. We also have Ophram. And we have emery. We have other types, but the common ones that we use here in Ghana are the ones that I have listed on your whiteboard. We have less than 10 minutes to end the lesson. I'll pause here and allow you to ask questions. Okay, those who have raised your hand, you can ask your question. Please. Yes, let me call your names. Mawena Ablo, your hand is up. Let me hear you. Followed by Kelvin. After Mawena, Kelvin, you ask your question.
So is it true that the number of lines in the wood tells how old the tree is?
Yes, but sometimes some of the trees, when you cut them, that line is what we call the growth ring. Some of the trees, when you cut them, it is not too clear for you to see. But when the wood is really matured, they become distinct. You are able to distinguish them. So you can be able, you'll be able to count the number of rings, not lines, so rings, because they are circular in nature. I want to see if I can share another screen. I want to go back to the other one. So my dear, this is the one we are talking about, these lines, these rings. It is the rings I'm talking about. The other ones that are perpendicular to the center, they are medullary rays. That's not the growth ring. The growth rings are the ones that go round. Are you okay, my dear?
Yes.
Kelvin, entry. Ask your question.
Yes, sir. Yes. Sir, please, what did you say the pit is?
The word.
The pit.
I can hardly hear you.
Sir, please, I said, what did you say the pit is?
Oh, your network is not correct. Oh. Please, can anyone re-echo what he said?
Sir, please, you said, what did you say the pith is?
The what?
Pith.
Paste.
Pith.
The pith. I said it is the middle core. That is the tissue, and that one is usually visible when the plant is very young. If it is not hard, or it is not mature. So when you go close to, when you get out of your house and you see plant around, you can break any plant at all, and you try to remove the back. You see that you get to some soft thing in the middle. That soft thing you see in the middle is what we call the pith. Okay? That one is usually visible when the plant is not matured. So all of you can get out of your room. Any plant at all you see in your house or around the house, you can use that to testify it. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah, any other question? Those of you who were writing the names of them. So these are the various type of wood we are going to talk about in our next lesson. It's unfortunate we don't have enough time because I have another meeting scheduled for your seniors, which is in the next few minutes. We have about 2 minutes to end this session. Any further questions? Any further questions? No. If no, then mention the part of the cross-section of the wood that we discussed so far. Part of the cross-section. Any hand up? Yes, Angelo. Angelo, unmute your mic and talk. Okay, Marina, your hand is. Okay, since you are not talking, let me quickly go over. We look at the. I can hardly hear you. We are going to look at the details of the following wood in our next lesson. That is Wawa, Odum, Cedar, Mahogany, Ophram, and Emery. We will look at them and the various characteristics they all have. Then for the cross-section, I mentioned the back, I mentioned the bast, I mentioned cambium layer, sapwood, hardwood, pith, medullary rays, and then growth ring. The function of the back is to protect the tree. The bast transports food. When the food becomes hard, it turns to cambium layer. When the cambium layer matures, it turns into sapwood. When the sapwood becomes hard, it forms part of the hardwood. The growth ring indicates the age of the tree. Any confusion so far? Our lesson is almost over. Thank you all for taking part in this lesson. I'll make the notes available to you in some few hours. Enjoy your day. Goodbye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Want to be using the internet.
Bye.
Bye.